A while back I did a video on making these skinny tumblers like this on my HPN heat press, Signature Series heat press, and this one was actually made for my great-granddaughter who is about to be 3 years old, and while she can kind of handle this, she tends to kind of spill even with a straw in it. They do make a toddler tumbler sublimation blank. We're going to go over this. I'm going to show you how to make them coming up. Hi, I'm Roger. Welcome to what I call the loft above the shop, and we're talking about here is sublimating onto what I'm going to call a toddler tumbler. And I want to start off by saying this video is not sponsored by anybody, not Heat Press Nation, not Zone Grace, not Amazon, not even Dr. Pepper. So no sponsors here. This is from one of my tumbler suppliers, and I will put a link to this in the description, or you can get these on Amazon. It's a company called Zone Grace, and you can get this in, I think, 2 packs is the smallest you can get, or this here particular one here is a 5-pack, 24-pack, 96-pack. You want a great big bunch of them, they can fix you up. Same with this type of tumbler, and I'm not advertising for them, it's just a good product. So let me talk about this a little bit. Again, I did these tumblers here just a while back, and this is a custom tumbler for my great-granddaughter. Yes, I'm that old. And her name's Paisley, and she's done a couple of cameos in a couple of my videos. But this tumbler was just a little bit big for her, especially to have down by the pool and the beach. And I'm going to be taking her and her parents to Mexico in January, so she's going to need a tumbler for down by the beach. So I'm going to be making a couple different ones. So what about these? Well, before I get in and show you what is all in the box, one of the neat things, and some people call these sippy cups, there's a straw inside like this. And what this allows is for the child to push this button right here. So this latches back, and kids love to do this. Push this little button. Boom. Look there, I got something to drink out of. And it's very, very spill resistant. And once you fold it back in again, even if it falls over, it's not going to spill a drop. So these are great for toddlers and small children. And they like playing with these, and it's got a little handle, and they like to carry them. And yeah, but I'm not exactly 2 or 3 years old anymore. I'm kind of way beyond that. So let me show you how this comes and what all comes with it, because I'm impressed with this company and I use their products quite a bit. I will also say that one of my viewers turned me on to this company, and since then I've spent well over $1,000 in buying their products because they're a good quality and they just work. Again, not sponsored, they just work. So let me show you what is all involved in one of these tumblers. Okay, for each one it comes in its own box like this, and it also comes with a rubber bottom that you put on. It's got a really good 3M adhesive. There's what it looks like on the bottom once it's applied. Do not apply this until after you're done with your sublimation. If you do not have a tumbler press, you can also do this in a convection oven, and it comes with a heat shrink film. And for every one of them there's heat shrink film if you desire to do it that way or need to do it that way. So they tell you a few things on here. It's hot for 6 hours, cold for 12 hours. Cool. Capacity 12 ounces, yes. Material stainless steel. That's a good thing. Then notice, cannot be used in the microwave oven. Well, most of you, if you got any common sense, you know you don't put metal in the microwave oven. So I don't know why you'd want to do that anyway. It says not to use it in a dishwasher. It says otherwise the coating may fall off. I will say that we have run these in the dishwasher on the top rack with no problems whatsoever, even the top part. So I mean, this part up here, you put them on the top rack, and the little thing that holds small stuff, whatever you call that little thing. And no, my wife doesn't like the way I load dishwashers, so she always does it. She just put stuff in the sink, I'll do it. Don't mess with that. So anyway, getting back to this, they say it's recommended to be hand washed, but again, you know, we've done this in the top rack of the dishwasher. They've been just fine. Can't be filled with hot water exceeding 50 degrees C. It's 122 degrees Fahrenheit. If you are filling this with something hot to give to a toddler, don't do that. Obviously, you would not want to put something that hot in there. I have used one of these larger tumblers here with hot coffee, which is, I know is more than 122 degrees, but I'm not giving it to a small child either. So, you know, that's kind of a common sense thing. So, you open the box, and there's different colors here. There's that one here happens to be purple, pink. This one here is red and green. So there's a plastic sleeve on it, of course, a little plastic wrap. And there again, I have not put the bottom on it because I haven't sublimated this yet. There's nothing inside, and always make sure you do that. And when you do the sublimation, remove this first. Don't leave this on while you're doing your sublimation. So I'm going to lay out a couple of graphics now. So let's go to the computer. I'll show you how I do these graphics. Because you need to measure your cup or your tumbler. And it doesn't matter who you get it from, you're still going to measure it. You need to measure the length. You need to measure the circumference. If you only know the diameter, you can take 2 times pi times the radius, and you can get the circumference, but I just blew a lot of people's minds. Just tape measure if you don't want to do the math. Let's go to the computer. Okay, to set up the graphic for this toddler tumbler, I've got Inkscape open here because that's what I like to use. And it's free software, and you can download it from Inkscape. I'm not sponsored by them, just thought I'd mention it. So we need to go to document properties here. I need to change this to US letter. And we're going to do this in inches. Now I need to bring in my graphic. Do a little import here. And I happen to have these in downloads today, so we'll do the Shark Sippy Cup first. Brings that in like so. And we need to rotate that 90 degrees. Now our cup height is 5 1/4. So that would be from here to here. So I'm going to change that to 5.25. And our height is 8 3/4. That's 8.75. I'm going to leave this at 8.9. It leaves me some room to do some trimming. Now, something I can do here is to put my great-granddaughter's name right here in this area. And to do that, I need to have this flipped 180 degrees so that it comes out the right direction. I need to add some text. And for a font here, I'm going to use what they call curls. One of my favorite fonts here for this type of thing. So back here to my select, after I've got that in there, and kind of get it halfway centered. Yeah, I need to make that a little bigger. We'll lock this right now. So I don't want it to go the full width. Let's go 5, see what it looks like. It's going to be way too big. Is after 4.5. Shrink that down a little bit. Back here and get it kind of centered. I don't want to have it black. I think I want something that's going to stand out. Maybe that blue right there. How would red look? No, that's a little too gaudy. We'll go with the blue. Purple. Yeah, that'll stand out pretty good. Yeah, my font changed. What happened there? Didn't think that looked right. There's the one I want. Now it's really Gotta do some work on it. That's the fun part of this. Push your width back to 4.5. Back there in the center. Might even go to 5 on this now. That's centered where I want it. Now I need to print that. Here's our print. Yeah, 2800 doesn't have any paper in it, so we'll go to 2720. Have to set some preferences here. Premium presentation paper matte. Quality high. Color, of course. I want a print preview. More options here. I turn off high speed. I want to mirror it. Click OK. Print. There's my preview. I'll just send that to the printer. Okay, so we got graphics printed. And we need to cut them roughly to size. If you have one of the Cricut trimmers or one of the other brand trimmers, I advise you not to use it unless you're going to make sure you're staying out in the white space. Because if you get into the graphic with one of those, you could very easily tear that graphic. I'm going to be using one, but I'm going to be staying out in the white space. So there I need to trim my paper down because there's just too much to be hanging out. But I want to stay in the white space and stay completely away from the graphic itself. So there's my first one there. I'll get my second one trimmed up here. It helps to be straight, but it's not all that critical on this dimension here. It's just kind of nice if it's straight. That might be an OCD thing on my part. You know, we're also going to need to trim here, but I will absolutely not use this for that. So I'll set that off to the side. I'll find a straight edge here. Now, you need to have this side, because this is what this has a somewhat of a seamless thing to it. So on this side, I need to trim this, but just take a very, very hair of the actual graphic off. I mean, just a hair. Less than a 1/16 as our initial set. I have made these a little bit longer than what they need to be, just so I could do some trimming, and I'll fit these as I go. So there's my first trim. Now I'll take my cup, obviously without anything in it. Make sure it's right side up, because I made that mistake once on a mug. And that is now a paintbrush holder. So I will set that on there, and I'll bring this around. You do not want the graphic to overlap your paper. You want them to meet and then leave some white space to overlap to be able to tape. If you lap this over like this, so that the graphic would overlap the white, you will have a ghost image there. So you absolutely do not want to do that. So looking at this, you need to trim a little bit more off of this end. This takes a little time, but it is important. So I could take about an 1/8 inch off of that yet. And then while I'm trimming, I have a lot of white space on the other end. I could take some of that off. I don't need to be real neat about it. I just don't need that much of an overlap. And yes, there's a cutting mat on this table. I'm not cutting right on the table. So we'll set this back on here again. You still have just a tiny bit of overlap. It's less than a 1/16. I should say less than an 1/8. I'm going to take just a little less than an 1/8 off of that again. And while this may take some time and appear to be a pain, The more time you spend on this, the more accurate you are, the better the result will be. If I was making these in bulk, I would get a direct dimension after I got one of these laid out. If, for example, I was going to make 20 of these, I would get this exact dimension and make all my graphics printed that way. So here now, that graphic just meets. So the next thing you want to do, again, make sure you're right side up. Make sure you are straight right here. Don't get wonky. And then I like to wrap my hand around this a couple times. Now for heat tape, I'm going to use my funky new heat tape dispenser here, because this produces pieces of heat tape as you turn the handle. And I've just done a video on this. If you'd like to view it, it would be one of my more recent videos. This end's a little off because I wasn't really concerned about how straight it was going to be when I cut it, because it was just white space. So again, you want to make sure that you are as tight as you can get it, and make sure you're lapped on both sides the way you need to be here. And now you'll need to tape that seam. For that, I'm going to use pretty much the rest of the end of this roll on this roll of heat tape here. You want to tape that seam like this. Okay, so this one here, if you were going to do this in a convection oven, you would put the heat shrink film on, heat shrink that film, then put it in the oven and do the process that way. I'm going to be using my HBN mug or tumbler press, so I will use this just like this. So let me get the other one set up here. I'll get that one prepped, and then we'll take it to the mug press. Okay, the mug press is up to temperature. It's beeping and telling me that. So we'll take one of the mugs here. Again, this is the Signature Series heat press, tumbler, mug, shot glass. You can do lots of things with it. Set this. I'm going to use my heat tape up. I've already set the pressure on this to some medium pressure. Sets the heat tape up. The temperature is 365 degrees for 70 seconds. I'll then rotate it 180 degrees. Okay, now at the end of this first 70-second period, I'll take this out. I'll rotate it 180 degrees. We'll press it again at 365 for 70 seconds. So we'll just do a rotate in there. Close this up. Let her count down again. Make sure you wear heat-resistant glove. That's hot. You grab that without one, you'll only do it once. Okay, as this counts down to the end here, I'll be taking this out. I've got a heat-resistant mat right here. I'll lay it on the mat. Do not hot peel one of these as it comes out, or it may very well ghost or smear on you. Let it sit until it's cool enough to touch. So I'll set that one there. I'll set my next one in. Okay, so while those are cooling off, before I can grab them and peel the graphics or the paper, sublimation paper off, I want to talk a little bit about the top. So this has a straw on it, and the idea is that the child can hold this and suck on it and pull their beverage out. So what if the child wants to do this and actually, you know, get adult-like a little bit and drink? And this is also good for the cleaning part of it. This comes off, like so, just pops off, and if the child wants to use it as a standard drinking cup, just pull this off. You can leave that into the cup, and you can drink like a normal glass. For the very small child where there's just learning or are more used to having a bottle and are used to sucking on it, put that back on. And it's the same thing for washing it. It's they're very easy to wash and take care of. And again, the children just love to do this little push the button and pop it up, pop it back down, and pop it up and pop it down. I've seen my grandkids and my great-granddaughter do this just repeatedly because they think it's cool. So those should be just about cooled off. I'll bring them over here, we'll unveil them. Boom. See, I like to do it too. So we're ready for the unveiling, and again, this is a custom one I made for the great-granddaughter with some baby sharks on it, and you can use these baby shark images for your own use. I just grabbed them off the internet and sized them up and put them into my graphic, and that's fine for your own use. You can't sell this way because those are copyrighted images, but if you're making them for your own kids, baby sharks, Paw Patrol, or whatever they happen to be into, maybe it's SpongeBob or one of those characters, you can grab characters like that, PNG images off the internet, and use them as you wish. So let's unveil this here, peel this off. Again, these were made specifically for my great-granddaughter. So we got the toucan there, and her name on the side. And that'll be one of her little by the pool cups, and we'll do the other one here quick. So no, these are not baby sharks, they're actual sharks, but there again I put her name on the side so she'll know it's hers. And she has another sippy cup to use by the pool or down at the beach. And now another thing left to do here is to put the little rubber bottoms on, and that's kind of self-explanatory. I've already cleaned these with alcohol. And by alcohol, I don't mean whiskey. I used actual isopropyl alcohol. So you just kind of center those. After you peel the backing off, give them a good press. And you do not have to put those on, but it makes kind of a non-slip thing if it's sitting on a wet surface. It won't start sliding around. And then it's just a matter of putting the tops back on, according to what colors you want to use. So there's my 3 custom toddler tumblers. Sublimation, not that difficult. I'll put a link in the description on where to get this particular brand of toddler sublimation tumblers, and also put links in for the sublimation paper I use in the ink and all that kind of stuff. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up, always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the loft above the shop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.